listen to the cops, and then file a lawsuit after. Hi, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick, and I'm making this video due to the Tyreek Hill incident yesterday, where Mr. Hill was placed in handcuffs after reckless driving on the way to the Dolphins Stadium and on the way to the game. First things first, bias statement. I obviously wasn't there. I obviously am a Buffalo Bills fan. I've made that very clear. And Mr. Hill plays for the Miami Dolphins. So, right up front, I'm going to let you know that, that's my bias statement. I am a Bills fan. That's something that is just true. Now, having said all that, the South Florida police just released a statement in which they indicated that Mr. Hill was uncooperative at the scene when he exited the vehicle and was placed in cuffs as a method of officer safety. Now, when officers say officer safety, it doesn't just mean no weapons or anything like that. It can also mean preventing an escalation of a situation. It's a little bit like a parent saying, because I said so, or eventually yelling at a child who won't listen. It's an aggressive forestalling of further escalation. I'm not going to say de-escalation. I'm going to say forestalling of further escalation. Look, obviously the United States has had some struggles with the police and excessive force with individuals. But what people forget with the rights of the Constitution are inherent rights. They are not granted by the government, and they do protect you from the government. However, in a civilized society, we enforce those rights post-event. Enforcing them in the moment is very difficult to do because there may be a fact pattern that steps in the way. If you punch someone in the face, you no longer have a right to not expect to be punched in the face by the person in order to defend themselves. You have a right to not be shot or not have excessive force applied to you. But obviously we don't know the full fact pattern, but let's say Mr. Hill was pulled over for aggressive driving and reckless endangerment, things like that. He was going, let's say it was a 30-mile-an-hour zone, there was lots of traffic, and he was going 70 or 80. That's way above the speed limit. That's going to get somebody killed. So the police pull him over and they instruct him to remain in the vehicle. If you then get out of the vehicle in a lawful traffic stop, the police then have to match that escalation, which is that's never a good thing. The internet has led a lot of people to overestimate the protections their rights give them. Again, you absolutely have the right to expect the government under I'll just say the Bill of Rights, because to go into the specifics of each Bill of Right, I'm going to get them wrong. I haven't studied them in as recently as I should have. But essentially, call it the Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights. I'm going to generally say those. Legal scholars can correct me. But the Fourth and Fifth Amendment essentially prevent unlawful search and seizure, and you have a right to remain silent. Those generally are the ones that come up when you interact with the police. At a traffic stop, we have a set of laws that govern how you should behave when the police pull you over. I am 100% on team the police are overstepping their bounds in many, many cases. And we need to find a way to curb that without ruining the efficacy of police and without defunding the police. I'm not in favor of that movement either. But when Mr. Hill got to the situation, let's say he stepped out of the vehicle and started yelling at the police. At that point, the police do the equivalent in almost every case across the board. The police do the equivalent of "because I said so," which is placing you in cuffs. It's procedure at that point. If you get out of the vehicle and the police have instructed you, or not instructed you to get out of the vehicle, you're going to get cuffed. You might get thrown to the ground in the process of getting cuffed, particularly if you start then resisting the cuffing. Now, granted, your rights, if they have been violated, can absolutely be enforced post-event in a lawsuit wherein you make a bunch of money off of the police department. And that is how rights are enforced. You don't get to just say in the moment, you're violating X right. You should record it, but it's not magic. It doesn't then, the police don't just go, oh, darn it, you're right. No, the police usually continue in what they're doing. And your job is to also participate in the de-escalation of that situation. You do not have a right to escalate a situation when your rights are violated. And if you're pulled over for reckless driving, you're already in bad shape. You're not, the police are not fans of you at that point already, because a reckless driver is bad news. And quite frankly, you see it all the time in California, in Florida, people just weaving in and out of traffic, going 20, 30, 40 miles over the speed limit. It's one thing to be moving with the flow of traffic. It's another thing to be recklessly driving around traffic such that you're putting on the highway, you're putting yourself and others in danger. You're putting police officers in danger. They're not fans of that. Look, the facts of the matter will come out. The fact of the matter is, Drew Rosenhaus, the agent for Tyreek Hill, yesterday released his statement on live TV saying essentially that it was unjustified. The police stood up for their officers and essentially said it was completely justified. The facts of the matter will sort out. But I just want you to know, as dedicated listeners of this podcast, in a situation where the police are violating your rights, take your phone out, start recording, and simply peacefully acknowledge, hey, my rights are being violated. State out loud, I will be exercising my Fifth Amendment right. And if you're at your house, peacefully ask for a warrant. If they do not have a warrant, simply say you can't come in. If they come in anyway, that's a violation, and you can sue them for that. If they have a warrant, read the warrant, but also know they can still come in. At that point, they have a right to come in. Now, if the warrant limits them to the garage and they're also trying to get into the house, they don't have a right to come into the house. Know your rights and record, but do so peacefully. Do so without escalating the situation. Stay calm. There's no need to, if you start yelling, you're just going to make the situation worse. It's very hard in those situations to remain calm, but you need to. Because you need to keep a level head, because you're not allowed to start striking police officers as part of what you're doing. Just stay calm. At a traffic stop in particular, even if the traffic stop was unlawful, you need to obey police commands once you're at the traffic stop. The commands themselves will become part of the lawsuit, yes. But at the traffic stop, you need to obey police commands, lawful police commands. If the police say, hey, remain in the vehicle, remain in the vehicle. If the police say, come out with your hands up, exit with your hands up, and just know you'll be able to sue after the fact, and you'll likely win. Any constitutional rights lawyer will be able to help you. But remain calm at all interactions with the police. If you're unarmed, officer, I am unarmed. Keep your hands where they can see them. And if you're a concealed carrier, you have a weapon on your person, don't hide that fact. Let the officer know, officer, I am a legal carrier of a concealed permit. I can show you the permit if you'd like, but tell them where the gun is, and at all times keep your hands up and where they can see them. Look, guys, don't make situations with the police worse. And just know, your rights will be enforced, and they should be. And in those situations, you should absolutely take the officers and the department that screwed up to the cleaners. Generally speaking, don't make the police's job harder than it is. Police make mistakes. They do. And they are public servants, and they should be punished when they do make mistakes. However, on the whole, they do a pretty good job. Anyways, I'm out of time. Hopefully this was helpful. Maybe it's not. If it's not, just ignore it. If it is helpful, like and subscribe. I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. Have a great day.